Hello, passengers, and welcome aboard the TV Pilot's License with service to Atlanta and the Chastain Park Memorial Hospital. We ask that you please fasten your headphones, secure your podcasting device, and remember that we aren't like other pilots here on TVPL. Some of us have tattoos, some of us have attitudes, and sometimes we feign hardened expressions and exteriors but are really just softies. But don't you tell a soul.
Welcome to the TV Pilot's License. My name is Geoff Kerbis, joined by Rich Inman and Max Singer. How you boys doing today?
I'm fine that we're doing another medical show, but I swear to God, this doctor better play by the rules.
Son of a bitch. I'm just happy that they named a hospital after soccer superstar Brandy Chastain. Tarps off, boys.
Well, gentlemen, this week we are going to be talking about The Resident. Not The Residents, which is also can be found on Netflix as this show. Yeah. Go watch The Residents, but we're talking about the medical drama known as The Resident. But before we do so, maybe this is your first time listening to TVPO. Maybe you're a frequent flyer. Max, what's this podcast all about?
Here at TV Pilot's License, we break down and analyze the pilot episodes of some of TV's most famous, or in some cases, infamous shows. We learn more about how these shows came to be and were originally made, if they're effective pilots and making us want to watch more, and if they can be made today. Go back and stream our old episodes from wherever you listen to podcasts. Check us out on YouTube and TikTok to see our smiling faces. Please hit those likes, subscribe, share it with your friends, leave comments. All of it helps us so much. And if it is your first time flying with us, then welcome aboard.
And Rich, what is your question of the week?
So you're not going to believe this, but this is a drama show where a lot of the plot centers around whether or not an old person still can do their job properly. I can't think of another example except for Industry, except for Mad Men, except for like so many. It's almost as if people are writing scripts specifically directed only at TV executives who are old and in the way. Huh. Okay. I want to know if you had that opportunity, or I'm sorry, well, not opportunity. If you were in that position where you had to give some essentially bad news to a supervisor who is actively making things worse because they won't acknowledge their age, what would you do in that situation? Would you do anything? Would you just leave?
All right. Here we go. Sheet cake. That's it. You get a sheet cake saying the message on it. Everybody gets to have some cake on it, and or get to have a little bit of cake. I'm not going to suggest that you have candles, right? Because it's not their birthday. Maybe it is their birthday, and you're like, "Hey, BT Dubs, you're too old for this." But I think that everyone's pretty happy when they see, I'm personally partial to the idea of a public sheet cake, but Ralph's does a great job too. Costco has a fucking slapping cake, and like no one's upset when they see a sheet cake enter a room.
I love that, Jeff. Your answer to this is basically the equivalent of the person giving the cigarette to the guy and the firing squad.
Yep. Yeah, it's just like, hey, bud, you forget about a golden watch for retiring. You get a sheet cake and get the fuck out of here.
Get out of this house.
Max, what are you thinking?
Sabbatical on a cruise ship. We fill up your duffel bag with the best Tommy Bahama shirts that the company could afford and a nice pork pie hat, and we tell you you're taking a nice sabbatical in the Caribbean for a few weeks, and by the time you come back from that vacation, we've changed the locks.
The very first pro-ageism podcast. I gotta go with a slight mental torture where you are consistently week by week changing the placement and size of the furniture in their office without them noticing. So they think
they're making their office a Pee Wee Herman like.
Sometimes it's a big chair. Sometimes the big chair is on the other side of the room. Sometimes it's a really tiny desk. Whatever you're gonna do, you're gonna make them go crazy and think that they have Alzheimer's, so they just quit on their own behalf.
Oh my God! Well, Rich, this might be your most ageist question of the week, but
right.
Thank you for your question of the week. Before we speak a little bit more about The Resident, a quick word from our sponsors.
Hey there, frequent flyers. This week's episode is brought to you by Riverside. Riverside has been the go-to platform for TV Pilot's License when it comes to recording this podcast. You can record crystal clear audio and video all in one place, and when you're done, Riverside makes it super easy to edit your show and put together pre-formatted clips for social media promotion. Not a podcaster? Not a problem. Riverside is fantastic for hosting live streams, creating educational content, putting together marketing materials, interviews, and so much more. So whether you're looking to finally get that podcast idea off the ground or take your show to the next level, Riverside is the platform for you. Get started by clicking the Riverside link in the description of today's episode.
Thanks to our sponsors. Let's talk a little bit more about The Resident, and we're going to start off with a quick synopsis. A medical student learns tough lessons about hospital life and endures intense on-the-job training under the supervision of a brilliant senior resident, which is taking some liberties, I feel like, especially with some of these adjectives. But Max, how did this show get made?
Today, we're talking about the pilot episode of The Resident, which originally aired on January 21st, 2018 on Fox, and the show's creator, Amy Holden Jones. After bursting onto the scene with the cult fave slasher Slumber Party Massacre in the 1980s, Amy Holden Jones becomes most notable as a writer of the classics Mystic Pizza, Indecent Proposal, and Beethoven.
Damn.
That's right, with the Saint Bernard. We got a dog movie writer today.
Whoa. And also Mystic Pizza.
Is there a giant Saint Bernard in that? Moving on. In the earliest version of The Resident was pitched by director Antoine Fuqua to Showtime under the name The City. Oh, amazing for SEO. Jeff loves that shit.
Yeah. No, I'm eating it up. Give me that slop.
The show was conceived as, quote, a dark medical drama that centers around an idealistic young doctor who begins his first day of residency under the supervision of a senior resident who appears tough and brilliant, but turns out to be a cunning and deadly psychopath. Helping to co-write the script alongside Jones was Harvard physician Roshan Sethi, credited as a co-creator on the series. The duo previously worked together on Black Box, a short-lived ABC medical drama from 2014. This version was never produced at Showtime, and the rights were sold to Fox at the end of 2016. 2 months later, the show was ordered to pilot, and in May of 2017 given a 14-episode commitment. Today's pilot is directed by Philip Noyce, best known for helming thrillers like Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger, The Bone Collector, Salt, and the 2014 adaptation of The Giver featuring Taylor Swift.
What?
Yeah, you didn't know there was an adaptation of The Giver starring Jeff Bridges, Meryl Streep, and Taylor Swift?
I had
Spoiler alert.
not even a little bit.
Okay. Well, Max, thank you so much for telling us how that show got made. Let's start off and dive into this show because we talk about why is today different. And this show almost gives us like a little fake out of why today is different with a what can I say? Whoops, we killed a guy while taking a selfie. Rich, if people listen or watch us on YouTube, they've come to find out that you and blood or any form of surgery is a no-go.
Nope.
And just in my notes, I say, oh no, Rich, he passed out watching the show. How do you feel about someone's artery mistakenly getting slashed?
That makes me feel like I'm a frightened turtle trying to retreat into a shell because there is blood spatter. There are shaky hands holding a scalpel. There's goops and organs.
Goop.
I want to give a shout out to the Goop guy on The Resident.
Honestly, like I do want the Pit to win at the Emmys for best goop next year.
It's so funny because you say that, and I just listened to someone talk about like what is the Pit trying to prove with some of their prosthetics? Like they're doing too much. Like,
they're trying to be real. We had a real ass doctor talk about it.
Buddy, there is a shoulder injury in season 2 that Rich will actually put you in a coma.
Yeah, I am personally mad at everyone on the Pit for making such a great show that I can't watch. It feels like that sucks. I want to watch the Pit, but I can't.
It's like you have an allergy. It's like you have a peanut allergy, but it's a TV show.
They're immediately my greatest fear of shaky surgeon hands is shown to us in the first moment, and then you get our introduction to Dr. William Bell, our chief of surgery, who is if there's a famous surgeon in real life, ain't never heard of him, who talks about famous surgeon. This guy is the most well-known.
Dr. Ben Carson and his gifted hands.
Max, I'm curious because this scene is one that I can only say feels like a little bit of a dream sequence, if that makes sense. Like even the way it's filmed, the line, "Why are you giving him CPR? That won't put the blood back in," was something that I could only have imagined I'd say if I was in a surgery
that's
room.
why you have the Harvard physician co-writing your script, so you can get those intricate details you don't think about.
You actually redline through. You actually can't put the blood back in. Here's where you messed up.
So I'm curious for you. How did you find this opening? Was it enticing for you?
Oh,
or
no,
maybe...
don't use the word opening. Don't use that. We're talking about surgery. I'm going to black out.
Can we just talk about the Philip Noyce movie Salt with Angelina Jolie instead? That's a much better.
Thank God. It's about Veruca Salt.
I want to talk about whipping guns and whipping bullets around corners. Absolutely. Matt, but I'm serious. What do you think of this start to the show?
So I think it's fascinating because knowing what we know about this episode and about this pilot, we have this lengthy cold open where I would argue we don't have either our like A or B protagonists in it. Like we have this entire isolated scene that really just sets up the world, which is we have this state-of-the-art hospital that has a problem that no one wants to talk about. I think it also establishes a pattern though of like coercion by power that we see throughout this episode,
Right.
like people using status to manipulate others below them. And that's something that applies to a lot of characters and a lot of plot lines in this pilot. I was curious about the amount of selfie taking and the celebration of someone's first surgery day in this OR, if that is something that is done in real life, like taking selfies on your iPhone before performing in like an open heart surgery feels like the 2018 equivalent of the Junior Mint scene from Seinfeld.
What if I told you I have multiple old acquaintances from high school who I follow on Instagram, and I have seen many selfie while in full scrubs in in an OR.
No.
Yeah.
Like what part of the OR?
You know, the part where they're doing surgery.
Oh, how can you bring a phone? How is that sterile for the? Oh my God,
Rich,
I'm
not a doctor. I am very.
I don't know if they should
and
be
to
either.
To my parents' disappointment, I am very obviously not a doctor. So.
The end of this cold open, though, has one of the hardest smash cuts into one of the most mind-boggling music cues we've covered on this show, because we go from like the heavy, tense music of Dr. Bell basically forcing everyone to secrecy over what happened in that OR and the death of this patient into some big Sean, baby. You know what? Sometimes you take an L, but guess what we do, baby? We bounce back.
Tonight I killed a guy, but tomorrow bounce back.
Knew that heart was real.
I mean, like, and the introduction to Conrad Hawkins, who is very obviously one of our protagonists of this show, and they're trying so damn hard to make him seem like a rebel of sorts, right? He doesn't drive a car. He rides a bike. He doesn't drink coffee. He drinks energy drinks. I don't know what they named that energy drink, but it was like something death, and it's like, oh boy. And he hates when people take handicap. Well, first of all, that's right. If you take a handicap spot and you don't need it, fuck you.
Yeah.
But pouring your energy drink on that man's car is not going to do what you think it's going to do. You're a doctor.
No, I don't know about that, because I don't know if you've ever seen people pouring like Coca-Cola on like rusted pipes. It like they pull it out and it's like brand new again.
If you follow that scene, if we don't go into the hospital, we stay in the parking lot, there's just a hole through that car's hood.
That's right. You pour a little bit of White Monster in an Aston Martin and you're getting some speed holes in there.
Before we get too deep, we should also say Dr. Conrad Hawkins, played by Logan Hutzberger from Gilmore Girls. So for all of our Team Logans out there,
that's right.
Tune into The Residence. Judge for yourself.
And I'd also like to thank Ryan Reynolds for passing on this, so we could get Logan on the show. This is extremely Ryan Reynolds coded character.
Yeah, I mean, to go from seeing this rebel-like figure to meeting our other protagonist, Dr. Devon Pravesh, right? This Harvard grad who seems to be, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, literally his first day of his residency, getting the very expensive watch that can't be returned because it's engraved with him being a doctor, and all these things setting up just to, it seems like, go to the hospital just to fall over his feet throughout the rest of the day is how we're set up for this show.
Yeah, and I actually want to commend this show on the casting for this. I think if there's one thing that doctor or just like hospital shows in general like kind of punt on a little bit is like not having Indian, Pakistani, and Asian people being like leads in shows, and they make up a large percentage of the medical profession, and it just seems very odd that they don't have that stake in shows of this nature. Yeah.
Well, and he's just Dr. Pravesh. There's nothing that feels like a Fox gimmick. There's never any jokes at this character's expense. He is a incredibly gifted, incredibly proficient. His only real character flaw is that he probably is a little too by the book. That he is a little too like knowledgeable and procedural to be able to think on his feet. Like he knows all the material, but isn't able to apply it to an emergency situation just yet. But this character, is a prime example of, well, they're gonna need someone to get them out of their shell. They're gonna need someone to teach them to quite literally loosen their tie a little bit.
Yeah. and sorry, bud.
Yeah, go ahead, Rich. Go ahead. No, I was gonna say, having Conrad be that figure and giving this what I can only call an over-the-top welcome speech, right? Like hey, welcome. This is, forget everything you knew, because if you don't listen to me, you're going to be a biology teacher while we're staring at women doing yoga, is an insane scene that I can only say someone put as a placeholder, and then they said, well, we don't have anything else, so keep it. How else are we going to know he's a rebel?
Hey, you're with me. Also, what type of women are you sexually attracted to?
It was insane.
That was truly upsetting, and honestly did not necessarily set up the character for any like important information throughout the rest of the pilot.
Yeah, and Max, you were sort of mentioning, and both you and Rich were mentioning the idea of like the Fox hadn't shown yet, and it's just like, wait a minute, we got this monologue. We can Fox News it up right here, right now.
Well, listen, the first time that we meet Devon, he's having morning sex. He's being asked about his sexual preferences by Conrad, and then we get told that he has to stick his fingers up a patient's rectum, and it seems the patient enjoys it and likes having Conrad as his doctor because he gets people to put fingers up his butt. Was I reading that scene right?
Things we love are consent and enjoying yourself and not being shy of your fetish. So hell yeah, you go, patient who's unnamed who got that day rate.
Yeah, it felt like it feels like they're trying to give like a Scrubs Dr. Cox feel to him. And you were feeling the same way?
Yeah, I literally have in my notes, this is less funny Dr. Cox.
Yeah.
This is...
But also Dr. Cox, the boundary that Dr. Cox set was was making fun of the other doctors that he was with, the doctors and surgeons and interns and residents that he was with, but never the patients. Or if they did, they would do it like separately, or just like, kind of chastising them a little bit for not changing their behavior for their medical condition, etc. But this guy's like, no, I'm making fun of the patients. I'm going in there and I'm metaphorically going in there and and now the patients are part of the job. Yeah. What did you guys think of Dr. Conrad's role in it? Kind of felt like he was almost like the angel and devil on Dr. Pravesh's on essential shoulders, like telling him to ignore his training, telling him to like throw out the things that he learned from Harvard, making fun of him that he went to Harvard, but also like really coaching him through stuff. What do you think?
Well, I'm happy you brought that up, Rich, because I think that there is a lot of lore building with Conrad that they have to do throughout this episode for us to trust him as the, like, I hate to call him the most qualified doctor in the show or medical professional that we see in the show, but they do a lot of work. And I'm skipping around in the timing, but we'll talk about all of this stuff in the pilot. But having the first instance of care that Dr. Pravesh does end up in someone being brain dead versus the because he didn't listen to Conrad versus the second time being him allowing someone to live because they're going through sepsis and he has to put in a central line. I think they do a really good job of showing the credibility of Hawkins, but then at the end, and I don't want to talk about it right now, immediately turning everything on its head of like, wait, how much do we actually trust this man?
Right.
Conrad is an equal opportunity shit giver. And I think that is what does make him interesting, is that he is clearly gifted. He clearly does well in emergency situations and like high stress situations. And he's also willing to dish it to every single person. He will dish it to Devon, but he's also the only person in the hospital who isn't afraid to dish it to Dr. Bell. He's the only person who can stand up to this person who is clearly no longer able to do their job at the level they need to be chief of surgery,
right,
and isn't afraid to call that out. And so, yeah, he is a grade A dick. A lot of what he does, I'm watching, like, I can't necessarily get behind this guy for a lot of it, but he's willing to go after everyone. Like, no one is safe except for the one person who we learn does have control over Conrad.
Which is actually another comparison to Scrubs in the way that they play off of each other between I'm trying to remember the chief of medicine's name in Scrubs. Bob.
Perry?
No.
Bob Kelso. Bob Kelso.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So it's Dr. Cox and Dr. Kelso going after one another, and also like, and you can see the internal like complications of the hierarchy of the hospital, like making these people make these choices that are ultimately disadvantageous to the patients. But you basically have like, I mean, you have like the chief of surgery of the hospital who has his face plastered all over the building saying like, oh yeah, this is the reason you come to Brandy Chastain Memorial Hospital. Because,
That's not it, but keep on going.
The guy who's writing his own Yelp reviews to boost his ratings on like medical profile websites.
And most likely writing the negative ones for Dr. Okafor,
Other
who we'll
doctors,
get into,
yeah.
we'll get into in a second. But yeah, it is like there's a lot of pressure on him. A lot of that pressure he has put on himself, and ultimately the people who suffer are the people who are patients under his care.
Well, I do want to talk a little bit about some of the other doctors or the other medical personnel that we meet in this show, because one of the key ones that we meet is Emily VanCamp's character of Nick, or Nikki, as they call her throughout this, who seems to be, Max, you alluded to, that one person that Conrad will listen to, a former romantic partner of sorts. And it's interesting because when we have shows that almost have a net neutral character, it does seem, and I hate that, like, I actually don't hate it. We keep on referencing to Scrubs, but we reference to Scrubs because there's a lot of things that are similar to that show and this show. And like, I'm curious, do you like the Nikki character? Do you think that it's one that we needed necessarily, or is it just superfluous, at least in this pilot?
I like Dr. Nevin. I like this character in any sort of procedural or medical show. I like a character who can kind of tell it like it is and can explain like the negative connotations around the field we're in. Like, I feel like every Shonda Rhimes medical show has some sort of character that's like, you know what, and here are the problems with the insurance system, with the hospital system, with the medical system, and Nikki provides that in this. She's also the one person, as I alluded to, who has a hand over Conrad, and she is the one person who can, I don't want to say like control him or wrangle him, but can can get him to act in a certain way. Like, she has a certain power over him, and we see her use it in a couple of different ways in this pilot.
Are you talking about revealing the death before dishonor tattoo?
I mean, yeah, stripping him down in a room to basically tease him into thinking they're going to have a work hookup, and then just leaving him there. Also, did that door lock from the outside? That's crazy.
Lock from the outside, which is terrifying. I did not need to know that hospitals have that feature.
I'm nervous whenever I'm in a room now.
We've sort of been talking around Dr. Randolph Bell a lot, but there's one interaction that I think is super important to this pilot, and really sets the tone of what is this person like. And that's his interaction with Dr. Mina Okafor, who seems to be this promising surgeon who doesn't have the charm, who doesn't have the bedside manner, but is in a position that is a little bit more, how do you say, she's vulnerable because she is not from the United States.
Yeah.
She's an immigrant. What did you guys think of this scene where you have someone who's so promising, but there is also a racial component to this and a power component to this? This was a lot of stuff all in one scene, it feels like.
Yeah.
I mean, this felt like a different part of Fox, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no fucking kidding. Dr. Bell immediately puts you in a place where you hate him by further, like, once again, jeopardizing more parts of the hospital by throwing politics around and potentially jeopardizing her visa status, saying that she will be sent back to Nigeria if he doesn't approve her visa application to stay there and keep performing surgeries. And I just like, yeah, it's hard to escape the Fox newsification of this guy. And don't get me wrong, I love Bruce Greenwood as an actor. He's fantastic. I'll watch anything he does. But they make him a extreme. This is the most unlikable he is the entire show.
But Bruce Greenwood plays the villain in this too,
yes.
and that's the thing, is he is despicable. He is the worst. He brings race and politics and all of these things to the table as ammunition against Dr. Okafor, uses his status to basically strip her of any status and power as this gifted surgeon, and yet we do feel that. We do feel he's despicable. We are fully bought into this person being the villain of our show.
Agreed.
I do like, though, that as much as we're sort of ragging on Dr. Bell, there's two things that we get because of this character, right? The first thing, we get this medical version of a Rocky training sequence, right? Where we see Plums get violently destroyed, which... The first, Rich, as much as you don't like seeing blood, what did you think of seeing a Plum get the shit kicked out of him by a giant robot?
I will say there was a moment where I was like, "Oh God, my innards," and then another part where I was like, "He's bashing the shit out of that Plum. That's pretty fun."
Yeah, he fucked up that Plum.
That Plum, and then the added little line of, "Well, that was your 11th Plum." I was like, "Okay, that was really well done," but.
Like
having
Winnie
that
the Pooh
sequence,
ass line.
and then seeing that this man maybe does have a small moral center that he used to rely on, with the idea of him not doing that surgery. I mean, Max, was that something that you thought was a nice reveal, or maybe something that you thought wasn't necessary in this pilot?
I mean, I don't think it's a nice reveal. To give context here, a large donor to the hospital, someone with their name on a building, has to get prostate surgery. And he does not want Dr. Okafor to do his operation, even though she is trained in using the Titian, this robotic surgery device, because he needs Dr. Bell. Like, he needs the status. He needs to say that Dr. Bell did his surgery. Dr. Bell tries to coerce Dr. Okafor to giving up her role. He learns that he cannot operate the Titian through an 80s Rocky montage of Plums getting fucked up. And then while he is to the audience, to the gallery, on video, supposedly doing this operation, we get a reveal, as seen through the eyes of Conrad, that it is actually Dr. Okafor. All that to say, there is nothing noble about Dr. Bell's decision. He is basically putting her in the background to no credit, while he takes all the glory for doing experimental procedures that allow him to inflate his ego and his masculinity, and he is a toxin to this hospital because he is taking credit for the work of his much, much more gifted surgeon. No, there is nothing noble or kind about him allowing her to do this from the shadows.
It was in his shoes. I think that was the right decision to do it, or to have it done that way. However, like, I don't know. It's kind of like this is just like the ultimate ageism question still of like, you know, if you're a star and you don't have it, but other people are going to lose their jobs because you don't have it, or you're going to lose funding, or you're going to lose, like, the ship will go down. Like, it is, do you pretend to hold the reins of control while you let the more talented younger people take it over? I mean, I think the answer is yes. I think he's in kind of a bind.
Dr. Randolph Bell is the CNC music factory of surgeons. Because he
this is the
because
more.
he is
Say more.
He is just a hot body that is taking the work of people behind the scenes and taking all the credit for it.
Are you thinking of Milli Vanilli?
No, CNC Music Factory. The vocalist for it was the main woman from the Weather Girls who did It's Raining Men.
Oh.
And she did a bunch of the songs for CNC Music Factory, and then they cast these models to lip sync and do all the music videos and perform and tour and accrue all these accolades as CNC Music Factory when it was never their voice, when it was never their songs. It's the Milli Vanilli. It's all of that. It's this idea of taking a face of something and allowing them to take credit and put themselves out there, while other people who are so much more talented than you are behind you in the shadows doing work for no credit. And it's just like it is so common, and it is so sad in its own way.
And what is The Wizard of Oz if not a retelling of the CNC Music Factory story?
Oh my God. I want to take us almost to the conclusion of this pilot, right? We do see Devon be good at his job, right? He saves this woman who is in sepsis that we referenced earlier, right? We get this moment where we get to see Conrad say, hey, show a little bit of heart, right? Show a little bit of empathy by showing, we get a flash to see that Conrad was at one point in time in the military in a photo that's in his wallet. But then here's a 5-year-old little girl.
And thank God, just having a random death before dishonor tattoo all across your back, and if you weren't in the Marines, that would be
insane.
That'd be pretty nuts.
But then getting this story about, I accidentally killed this little 5-year-old, and like that's something that stays with me. But we get this final we get this final sequence though of seeing Conrad go into the room of a brain dead woman and fully intend on
mercy killing
putting her down in all senses of the word. Did you think that this was a compelling ending to our pilot, or maybe was it like a little bit too heavy-handed?
This is definitely I know Max, you made the joke at the very beginning. He I hope he plays by the book. He fucking doesn't, because you saw him instruct Dr. Pravesh not to save this person after 26 minutes of resuscitation, and now you see why. And now you feel the pain of their family going through days, weeks, months, years of hope that she would snap out of this coma, but he knows that she's not coming back. So I understand his desire to do this and save people a lot of extremely long-term heartbreak and save people potentially life-changing amounts of money. And I get it. It does make you look like a monster, and it does violate the Hippocratic Oath, maybe.
Max, what are you thinking?
In terms of just this whole package, I'm glad we get a little bit of behind the curtain of Conrad. I do appreciate and sympathize with his story of when he was in Devon's shoes, when he was young, and the mistakes he made, and how he carries that guilt with him, and like how it impacts his day in and day out as a doctor. And yeah, Rich, I kind of agree with you here. It's like there is a degree of mercy that he's trying to bestow upon this poor young girl who has no chance of coming out of this coma. And we know that the longer she stays in that bed, the more her family's going to have to physically pay for it, as well as emotionally pay for it. And you know what we get from Nikki, from Emily VanCamp, is just this idea of like it's not your position to do. Like everyone's making that call. Yes. Devon has to. It's like an unspoken thing of like this isn't your call to make. It's not a what are you doing? There's nothing said. It's just an understanding of this is not for you to do.
Yeah.
And I think
100%.
that speaks more than a confrontation.
For sure.
Well, it almost gives off that vibe of like the concept of a sin eater, right? Like someone who takes on the sin so that someone else does not need to do it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it is an interesting note to leave this pilot with after Devon texts his fiance that, hey, I made it through today, just to have that little bit of hope to not know what's happening behind the scenes.
And almost everyone who has that sin eater complex, that martyr complex, is false in that and that assumption of that being their job. And that sucks. Yeah. Like, and that ultimately makes Conrad like a significantly darker and more like, you can't just automatically like him.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, that is the pilot that we watched this week. But were there any things that you loved about this pilot, things that you want to give a little bit more shine to? Max, do you have any things that you loved?
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Emily VanCamp's car analogy of when you have to take your car to the shop, which mechanic are you taking it into? Mostly for the line of, no, because your car could end up dead, which... I was with her 100% on the analogy until that last line, and then I burst out laughing. And Dr. Nikki is my favorite character in this pilot.
Hell yeah.
Rich, what about you?
I particularly love Dr. Okafor. I love the scene where they're like, Dr. Okafor, you have to speak to all of these families individually. Okay, he's good. He's unstable but shaky, and he's dead. Like that,
yeah,
individually to each family in the same room, and then walks right away. That was an absolute that's a Naked Gun moment of this pilot.
Yeah, absolute shout out to Shaunette Rene Wilson, who destroys in the limited screen time that she has on this pilot.
Definitely.
But I have good news; she shows up a lot more as the show continues.
Nice.
For me, why are you doing CPR? That won't put the blood back in is a Hall of Fame line that needs to be inscribed somewhere. I don't know where, but like if I said that line, that's the only thing I would talk about. Like, oh yeah, I was just on the show. They made me say this line. It's insane. But the other one is I really loved that the cancer patient and that putting the direct line in. I thought that was a really well shot scene. It was really like, wait till I talk about my wait a minute moments, but it was something that I needed in this pilot. I needed that scene to be like, oh, cool. There are some real nice bright spots in this pilot. Let's talk about wait a minute moments. All right, now it's time for me to go talk about something that caused me pause, and that is why did we have these below the chin fisheye lens bullshit angles? Holy shit! Are you kidding me? What was the point of this? Was it to say, oh, this is edgy and things are off? What film school crap are you doing? Doing that shit. This is not your thesis. This is a prime time TV show. Are you fucking kidding me? And then here's the other thing. This is a primetime TV show. Get someone somewhat decent to do the CGI of the signs on the building. Are you? We all know that is the museum in Atlanta. Everyone who's been to Atlanta saw that museum and said, "Oh, that's the hospital. That's Chastain Park."
They're doing surgery in there. Go in.
But it's just like spend the 5 fucking minutes to make it look a little bit nicer. I swear to God, there was no rush to get this out, like get this published. I
Jeff,
swear.
there's no time. We got to send the script to our designated Fox racism guy.
Oh my God. Rich, what about yourself?
Okay, so this is a little it's a little less nitpicky, but more script wise. Time seems pretty incalculable this entire show. Like, there are 10-second periods where they say it's 26 minutes. It's night, and then it's day, and then somehow it's a 30-hour shift, and then they're not there, and then they're sleeping, but it's still day out, and it's very confusing, the time element of this show. And
Rich has been pit-pilled. It's basically if a minute
No,
of
I
time
can't
has
watch
passed, if a minute of time has passed, it's been a minute of time. Like, that's what I've learned.
When is Dr. Pravesh gonna shit?
And he gets yelled. You know what? Actually, thing I love, that he actually goes to the bathroom. That was great. I don't know how much he washed his hands, but he went to the bathroom, and getting all of those the buzz, like the pages, was fantastic. Max, what about you? Anything wait a minute moments for you?
Yeah, I'm in line with you, Jeff. Mount your fucking cameras. Why are we on a diagonal for every single shot?
Shaky only.
I am on a diagonal. I have shifted everything in iMovie after filming it. Every single camera, every single light has like a gel on it. Has some sort of like gel color on it. There's so many like greens and reds and blues and purples throughout this show. It is absolutely batty to look at it. I am seeing up the nostrils of every single character in this pilot. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just lock your camera and shoot them straight on. What are we doing?
They did a great job with those plums, though. Those plums look great.
Well, plums, A+. And I think
Extra
those were
purple.
CGI plums as well. That's the funniest part. Well, we don't have an in-flight question this week, but if you have an in-flight question for the podcast, you can submit those at tvpilotslicense.com. You can also shoot us a text or leave us a voicemail at 213-290-1713, or check out our Instagram. We ask for them every week before we record.
Ask us stuff. You're part of the podcast, too. Come on the pod.
Yeah, come on the pod. Give us your name. Give us at least a little bit of your name and your location.
Yeah.
I don't want to know where you live.
Put your full address. Put your credit card number.
We'll send a fruit basket. Let's talk about the history of this show. This show had 6 seasons and 107 episodes. The show peaked as far as viewership in ranking on its second season at 7.63 million viewers.
That's a lot.
And then it got all the way up to the number 48 show. The show premiered to 8.65 million viewers. As far as awards go, the show only had 3 nominations. 2 of those were Teen Choice Award noms, and 1 was a Young Artist nom. But
Did you say
no
Teen
wins.
Choice Award?
I said Teen Choice Awards. They got two Teen Choice Award noms, but no surfboards are going through the halls of Chastain Park. Rich, it is time for your game of the week.
Dun, 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 dun. It's time for some medical fun facts. Time to learn about goop.
How many plums die to make sure that you live?
Wait, like hospital blood or Gwyneth Paltrow goop?
It could technically be both, but let's find out. There are certain spinal injuries where doctors and paramedics can check for injury with what uncommon symptom? A, they can check if the male patient has an erection. B, they can check if the patient's butt has turned a shade of blue. C, they can check if they have a smiley face pattern bruise on their lower spine. D, they can check if the patient can sing or hum.
I gotta go blue butt.
Yeah, because didn't the blue butt come up in this episode? What? That's why they were doing the rectal exam?
If blue butt is on the table, I'm picking blue butt.
Sorry, blue butt is off the table. You can find paramedics checking to see if there's a spinal injury by seeing if their male patient has an erection. You can get a big old boner if you injure your spine. and guys, she'll love it too.
Oh my God.
I'd like to thank our latest sponsor,
Nugenics, the worst named product in history. Oh, fuck. Okay. Oh, it's like if they made a fire-retardant blanket called Mr. Smokies. All right. Diabetes mellitus and diabetes insipid were named based on how the patient's urine A, looked, B, felt on the hands, C, tasted, D, smelled.
I'm going to say D, smelled.
Yeah, smell. I hope they're not tasting it. Jesus Christ.
You're going to say Jesus Christ again. They were tasting that shit. Yeah. Just a nice little inhale. All right. While you're sipping on it, here's the spit bucket for you. But can you tell what region this piss is from? Thanks for playing medical fun facts.
All right, gentlemen.
There's something fun about those facts.
To you. Thought that was hilarious.
Gentlemen, our flight is getting ready to come to a land, but I have two questions for each of you. And the first is based off the pilot and the pilot alone. Would you watch more of The Resident? It's all available on Netflix, so you can just go and binge it. But the second question is a little bit more of a simple one. When we talk about medical shows, while The Pit more recently has been more realistic about the life of someone who works in an ER, for the most part, a lot of medical shows try to put a nice, rose-colored glasses on the concept of the medical industry, try to make it either so much more exciting or maybe even a little bit more friendly and family-friendly in this instance. Do you want more shows that maybe show the dark side of medicine, or are you good with just The Pit and The Pit can take on that honor? So, Rich, what are you thinking?
It's so funny. I don't necessarily view The Pit as showing the dark side of medicine. I feel like that it's like people have like this dark attachment to medicine anyways, but it's seen as just this like super noble profession. And but I think what is nice is that, especially with this show and other medical shows, you get to see all the other things that doctors are fighting through to try to get to actually seeing patients and providing the full level of care necessary and stuff like that. And this show does a great job of that. Will I be watching more of it? No, man, the goop. I can't handle the goop.
Too much goop.
There's someone's toe falls off in this. You watch someone.
We didn't even talk about
the gangrene.
Oh man, that was
Rich. Real quick aside, what was your bodily reaction when a man's toe just fell off?
Number one, I almost threw up. Number two, I almost texted both of you that I can't do this, and I'm so sorry, and I'll come to you with a game.
Guys, I have to say, we did an entire episode of The Resident and spent maybe 5 seconds talking about a full back tattoo that said death before dishonor and got this far in before we even mentioned a toe falling off.
A toe fell off.
What has happened to us? We used to go in for like an hour straight on each of those topics. We're losing our edge.
Yeah, don't tempt me on going in on an hour straight on toes.
Quentin, we know you're listening.
Ladies.
Max, what are you thinking?
Man, this is a no for me, and the big reason is just I don't find any protagonist likable in this.
Even Dr. Pravesh?
I mean, he's fine. I just I don't know. I just don't know if I can spend an hour with Conrad every single week.
Sure.
It's a lot of personality. As for your second question, I have no problem with dark side of medicine, whether it be contemporary or something from the turn of the century, like The Nick, which really shows, how horrible and gruesome the medical profession can be. I just need to be a little more compelled by my protagonists in a way that I don't think I was. Like, I like Dr. Pravesh on a personal level. I think Devon's a cool dude, but I don't know if he was necessarily the most interesting part of this main ensemble, and I don't think Dr. Bell or Connie Baby are doing enough for me.
Well, it's my turn.
Jeff's watched 4 seasons of
I have watched 4 seasons
and then
of the show.
And then he watched an entire season of The Residents thinking it was the sequel.
Let me do the quick reveal. So this is the first time I've ever seen the pilot of this show. This was a show that my wife is a big fan of and watched, and it's one of those where it's on enough eventually you're just like, this is our life now.
I'm so impressed with everyone else's stomach for medical stuff besides mine.
And here's what I'll say. As far as the pilot goes, this is one of the rare but fun. This pilot does a shit job of representing the show in general. We lose are unmounted cameras. That's no longer a thing. We keep more of a traditional set. We bring in, we really rein in the Conrad character as well to make him a lot more likable. Although there's an interesting thing that Matt Cherney does, which is, or Czuchry does, which he starts putting on a really gravelly voice, like this, like I'm Conrad, and you're like, wait a minute, are you code switching somehow?
He started smoking after the pilot,
but
something tells me that guy doesn't play by the rules.
God damn it.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where like the show itself has some real bright spots with like Shaunette Rene Wilson is in a much larger role as the show goes on. Malcolm Jamal Warner, R.I.P., but he was fantastic in this show. Literally this is one of my favorite performances of him ever, which is saying something because he had quite the historic career, and they really do a great job with the Bruce Greenwood character and bringing other people to be villains in the show and not just relying on the guy who's there and being like, well, he's the big bad every single season and fuck you. That said,
enemies become lovers, lovers become enemies, etc.
Yeah. As far as the show goes, I think that if you don't like the pilot, that's cool. The rest of the show is entirely different. As far as medical shows being dark and medical shows being more realistic about the trials and tribulations of being in medicine, yeah, I want that stuff. I want people to realize how hard it is being a fucking doctor. And it's not just, and sometimes, yes, there are bad doctors out there, but sometimes there are amazing doctors out there that are doing their best in a fucked up system. And you know what? They deserve all of the praise that they get. And then the bad doctors, get the fuck out. We don't want you there. It's time to get out. But with that bright note, gentlemen, that's the end of this episode. But I want to make sure that folks can find you wherever you'd like to be found. So, Rich, where can folks find you?
Well, you can meet me in physical therapy and don't be a dick. And you can also find me on Instagram at Damn That's Rich. You can find original sketch comedy for Max and myself over on TikTok at Dadwagon Comedy.
Max?
You could find me figured out still if I'm Team Logan, Dean, or Jess, and on all things social media at Maxwell Sig.
And you can find me touching toes to see if they'll fall off. But if you want to look for me on social media, you can find me at Run Jeff Run. You can find the TV Pilot's License anywhere you listen to podcasts. Make sure to check out our smiling faces on YouTube. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at TV Pilot's License. Also, look for us on Reddit. We are r/TVPL if you want to join in on the conversation and talk to us because we're all on there all the time. If you have a question for the show, maybe an in-flight question, make sure to follow our socials, but you can also submit those anytime at 213-290-1713 with a text or a voicemail or at tvpilotslicense.com. Make sure to watch out for sneak previews of some of the stuff that we have coming up. But with the plane landed and the seatbelt sign off, we look forward to flying the bright skies of the TV world with you again soon. Until next time, keep your eyes on the skies and your fingers on the dial.
Little Diva's toes come off.